Hey guys, welcome to today's video for Amonkhet Preview cards. Today is the official day one of the preview season. We did have a couple extra cards to talk about before we jump into the cards that were released today, namely the dual lands for the set. So before we get into that, I want to make sure everybody's aware that we do have two videos that have gone live already from the past couple of days. You can check those up on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/72DPI online. And those will reveal kind of the cards that were spoiled ahead of time. Now that we're in preview season, we should be getting cards every day. This is going to be a daily episode release, so we'll just be going over every card that comes out from Wizards official spoiler. So let's go over the first set here, and these are the dual lands for the set. They're at the rare slot. These are the cards that everyone kind of looks for as kind of setting the new standard, kind of as far as color fixing goes. Now these ones are kind of interesting in the fact that they are the ally colors. So you've got the white blue, blue black, black red, green white, and green red. They're named lands, so you can fetch them up with fetch lands in modern and legacy, vintage, all that good stuff. So all they have the land slash or dash swamp, mountain, island, swamp, plains, island, things like that. So you can fetch these up with the fetch lands. Unfortunately, we do not have the fetch lands in standard right now. However, there is some speculation that this might be alluding to future fetch lands, specifically the enemy fetch lands, even though they just reprinted them in Modern Masters 2017. Look for, if they were going to do it, just before this set rotates out of standard, putting in the fetch lands, the enemy fetch lands, so that would be like the blue red and the white red and so on and so forth. However, these ones are kind of interesting because they all are cycling lands. So you can, if you have, first off, they come into play tapped, so that's kind of the downfall. However, being able to discard, this card and pay 2 and draw a card is excellent for late game shenanigans. That way, if you get flooded out or if you just draw a top deck on a land, you can cycle it away. There's also some shenanigans that you can do with cycling cards, so just having more cycling ability is always a good thing. And the famous 3 words "draw a card" on any card is always a bonus. All right, so let's jump right into the actual release. We're going to start with red, and we have our first god, Hezret the Feverent. This is a 1 red, 3 generic legendary creature god. She's 5/4. Has indestructible and haste, and I love the way this is worded. So much better than the Theros gods. She cannot attack or block unless you have 1 or fewer cards in hand. That reads so much better. They have indestructible, so they can't be destroyed. The way the Theros one's read, this isn't a creature. It doesn't become a creature until you have so much devotion. Like, there was just so much words that, was very confusing to new players, and then it was also confusing on how it interacted with, discarding cards from your opponent's hand, choosing cards, exiling cards, creature cards, and things like that. Was it a creature? Was it not a creature? When was it a creature? When wasn't a creature? Stuff like that. So this it's cut and dry. It's always a creature. It always has indestructible. It always has haste. It can only attack or block if you have 1 or fewer cards in your hand. Then it has a second ability of 1 red, 2 generic, discard a card. She deals 2 damage to each opponent. So this is kind of a good card. People are going to immediately jump right to Commander with this card, but with if you get this card in Limited, it's definitely a bomb. Definitely slam it. Limited tends to be, play out your hand and then start top decking, especially with all the cycling cards and things like that. If you can't pay the if you don't want to draw the card and you want to just deal the two damage to get rid of a couple life points on your opponent, always worth it. Definitely note that this does not hit creatures though, so you can't shock creatures. You can only shock your opponent. But it's a great way to turn that extra, land that you drew or extra card you drew that doesn't do anything, doesn't affect the board. It makes those late game draws super good. So this is definitely a high up pick for limited. Casual play, it's awesome. It's a lot of fun. The next one, Ancrop Crasher. This is a 2 generic, 1 red Minotaur warrior with haste. It's a 3/2, and you may exert him as he attacks, and when you do, target creature can't block this turn. So effectively, getting an extra attack in there, because if they, obviously if you attack the turn it comes down, and they have 1 creature, you get that attack in. If they have 2 creatures, or they play a creature next turn, you can, stop it from attacking, or stop it from blocking. So effectively getting an additional combat step in there, so to speak. So. This right here is a perfect example of a solid exert ability. So it works really well with the haste. So it's just a great ability. Next up, limits of solidarity. It's 3 generic, 1 red sorcery. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. It also has cycling. So this is the gain control, the mind control type of card that's in seems like every set. This one giving cycling just gives it a little bit of an extra bump. So that's great. Flame Blade Adept is a 1/2 for 1 red. Has menace. Whenever you cycle or discard, then the keyword is there, or discard a card, it gets +1/+0 until end turn. So this is a great way to kind of buff up your creature. It's got a little bit of evasion with the menace, so it's definitely a good limited card. Obviously the limits is going to be a one of in your sealed deck and your sealed pool if you've got one. As far as draft goes, you drafted it late if you're in red. It's a great way to pick off, one of their they slammed their bomb rare or whatever. You can pick it up and take it. Or if let's say you need to get rid of it, and pick up another card. They don't have that rare, that you're looking for. This is just a great way to use it. And the other thing is it gives haste, so that's if they just played it, you can still use it. So 2 really good cards in red. Next up we have white, a Toner Priest. This is a 1 generic, 1 white human cleric, 1/3. Whenever a creature token enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. It also has Embalm for 4. This isn't too bad. Definitely a great card in limited. I mean, the limited cards, or the Embalm cards in limited are, they're really good because you're getting 2 creatures for 1. Even if that second creature, that the token is a little overpriced, this one isn't too bad. Especially in an Embalm deck, you're going to get a couple extra life off of it. I wouldn't go, as far as draft goes, I wouldn't go all in on Embalm if this is in your opening 7, or opening 15. This is just, this isn't something you want to do. But if you got, 5, 6, 7 Embalm creatures, this is definitely something you could, and they're inexpensive, that is, because gaining 1 life at, turn 4, turn 5, turn 6 isn't nearly as good. This is no Soul Sisters replacement or anything like that. But there will be some crazy shenanigans in Standard with the different creature creators and things like that. And there's actually another card that's in black that we'll talk about in a minute that kind of goes along with this, which is awesome. Next up we have, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, but Juro's Resolve. 1 white instant, untap target creature, prevent all damage that would be dealt to it this turn, and it has cycling for 2. This is one of those great cards that if you've exerted a creature, this allows you to untap that creature, block with it, prevent the damage. It still will deal damage, which is outstanding, because normally with white prevention, it's would be dealt to and dealt with this creature. So this is a great one-sided, trick. Definitely include in any white deck. Definitely combat trick to look out for if they've got one white floating mana. When you're attacking into their tapped creatures, this just makes it so tapped creatures are threats as well. So just be very, very cautious that obviously you don't want to lose your creature, but that's what they're going to be hoping for with this card. Next up is we have Cartouche of Solidarity. This is an enchantment. This is a new aura type. So the Cartouche, when it says enchant creature you control. When Cartouche of Solidarity enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white warrior creature token with vigilance. Enchant creature gets +1/+1 and has first strike. So they're really pushing these auras. This is actually an interesting aura, and I'm kind of curious to see what the other ones will do. Especially in a thing, you look at Modern in like a deck like Boggles, and I'm not saying this would go into a Boggles deck, but creating a 1/1 white warrior creature, so creating a 1/1 creature, plus giving a 1/1 your creature +1/+1 and first strike for just 1 mana. So that's 2 toughness, 2 defense, plus an ability for 1 mana. Obviously, it's a sorcery speed, but it's still 1 white mana. So it's interesting that the card type is Aura Cartouche. So it's got to have. There's going to be a reason for it. I'm kind of curious to see when we actually will have a card in blue that deals with it. But we'll see how far it goes and see what the rabbit hole brings us. So in the next one is In Arteka's Name. It is a 1 white 1 generic instant zombie. Zombies you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Other creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Just a great anthem effect. Even if you're not in zombies or in Balm scenario, getting +1/+1 to your creatures at instant speed in white is really good. Granted, it's a little on the expensive side if you're not in zombies, but it's a great way to kind of throw your defender off, your opponent off with some bad blocks, get in a couple extra points of damage, stuff like that. So next up we have our black and green cards. Let's see, your Nest of Scarabs. Is 1 black, 2 generic for an enchantment. Whenever you put a -1/-1 counter, whenever you put 1 or more 1/1 -1/-1 counters on target on a creature, create that many 1/1 black insect creature tokens. So again, this is kind of like with the white card that we were talking about earlier, where 1/1 comes to play, you gain life. Like, that's great. In limited, this would be awesome. So look for a black-white deck that combos with this very well. It's just a good way to kind of go wide, and stuff like that. Just being able to put a creature into play, gain a little bit of life. Obviously, you're going to need some -1/-1 love on creatures. So there's ways around that. There's ways to kind of get yourself involved. I feel like this is going to be it's probably going to be a limited archetype. Not so much. It seems like a pretty big task at 3 mana. I mean, it's effectively paying 3 mana, not doing anything to affect the board. There's quite a bit of setup that goes into it. Limited, there might be a few ways, to kind of get this some more value out of it. It won't be a turn 3 play, however. So we'll see. The green card we had released today is Crocodile of the Crossing. It's a green with 3 generic converted mana costs. It's a crocodile, obviously. 5/4. It has haste, which is interesting. I'm sure there's not as many hasty green creatures out there as there should be, but this crocodile has got a little bit of speed on him. When he enters the battlefield, you put a -1/-1 counter on target creature you control. So it drops creature down, but you're getting. I mean, think about it. You're getting a little bit extra, for your money here. 4 mana for a 4/3 for the 5/4. Not too shabby. This keep in mind that if this is the only creature you control, you're going to be getting a 4/3, which is not as exciting for 4 mana. So keep that in mind. Okay, so the last card we have, I kind of wanted to talk about. You'll remember, when was it? It was like early March when this the card on the left was kind of spoiled. Was literally spoiled, and you could tell that this was a picture of from somebody's phone, from a printer. And everyone kind of flipped out. This was, we didn't talk about this card because of I guess the layout of the card just seems so off, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's got to be fake. There's no way they would do this. It's there's no way. It looks like a sticker. You can see where it's being pulled up on the top right, and blah 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 blah." And I reserve judgment. Wizards, especially Mark Rosewater, he's come out and said many times that he is very in favor of split cards. He feels like it's a great way to, expand your color base. It gives you opportunities to have, single cards that do more than one thing, things like that. So, the card on your left, the one that's not an official spoiler, but we did get an actual preview card, which will pretty much confirm what is happening. So the card on your left is Dusk and Dawn. So Dusk is the top version, the normal size, the 2 white, 2 generic mana, destroy all creatures with the power greater or equal to 3. And then Dawn has the special ability called Aftermath, and that's kind of this format. This card is their shtick is. Aftermath is cast the spell only from your graveyard, then exile it. So the bottom card, Dawn, return all creature cards with the power less than or equal to 2 from your graveyard to your hand. So, this is it's kind of a good Wrath effect. It's at sorcery speed, so you're not going to be taking down any Heart of Kirin's anytime soon, anything like that, unfortunately. However, this is just a great board wipe for the the late turn, and then also if you're a white weenie deck, this is a great way to get your to fill your hand back up with creatures that have been killed, things like that. So the card that we got was Sustained. It was a black generic instant. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains indestructible until end of turn. So this is just a great card for combat tricks. Obviously you're gonna save your creature. The +1/+0 you might be able to snag a creature for it. You might be able to trade up. You never know. The second half of it, the Aftermath part, lead is as a sorcery. So you have an instant on one side and a sorcery on the other, which is kind of interesting. The green side of it is 1 green and 3 generic sorcery. All creatures able to block target creature this turn do so. So it kind of has this interesting, if you pay 4, 5, 6, if you pay 6, you can give target creature +1/+0 and indestructible, and then from your graveyard, obviously you wouldn't be casting Stained at instant speed, but from your graveyard cast lead, and then anybody, essentially you're kind of, this is Black-Green's version of Gideon, right? So all creatures blocking this guy, no damage is dealt, and you can get through with a couple other people. So, so it's kind of an interesting card. I don't know. I'm not really sure what's what it's going to do in limited. I mean, as far as black spells go, it's probably going to be in more black decks than it will be in any green deck. That's just the fact of the matter. But yeah, it seems okay. It seems all right. You'll never draft it, but you might put it in your sealed deck. It's a decent trick. All right. All right, guys. Well, that is today's episode. Really appreciate you watching. We'll be back tomorrow with tomorrow day 2 previews. Make sure you check out our YouTube page. Like I said before, youtube.com/72DPI online. We'll be doing this every day until the new set is complete. So leave a comment in the below. Tell us what you think about the new cards. What's your favorite card released so far? What are you looking forward to? Tell us what you think about the gods. Now that we know, we kind of have an idea of what they are, especially the one that was released now. The red one, telling us, this is what it does when, this is how you attack with it, and then the second ability allows you to get there, so kind of a devotion type of tribute type of ability. So what are you looking forward to out of the other 4 gods, and we'll go from there. So really appreciate you guys watching, and have a great night. Bye-bye.